All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to another Paranormal Highway. Today we got two interesting stories. I hope, I really hope some of you might not have heard of these stories, but I know a lot of you heard of the Mothman. A lot of you heard of Chupacabra. They're great stories. And I'm not here to tell you which one is bigger for you. That's going to be up to you. So, guys, we got a busy show today because we got two stories, two fantastic stories, or not stories, true stories about the Mothman and Chupacabra. And then after we talk about the Mothman and Chupacabra, we're going to talk about what's going on in the Bigfoot community with our good friend Joe. And I got a clip that Danny Stanton sent me that I'll play during the second half of the show. That, Joe is a special person in the community, and it's just sad, and people in the Bigfoot community, we all stand by each other. We all stand to help out each other. And it's like if somebody's sick, we're all sick in so many different ways. And it's just sad when you keep hearing news, certain kind of news. It just makes life. It makes you think about life a little bit more. So let's get to the intro. And there's a couple of things I want to say before we get to the Mothman and Chupacabra story. So strap in because we got a lot to talk about today. It's a lot. So let's get this show started. Let's get it rolling. I'm excited. I am excited in a lot of different ways and sad at the same time. So it's like, it's like, oh well, who can we're just gonna roll with, we're just gonna have fun with this. So I'll see you guys after the intro. And I'll see you guys on the Paranormal Highway. Before we get started, I just want to recognize some people that I see in the chat that I've been seeing these people here almost every time beginning the show, and I appreciate it. I see Neil Warden, and I see the best paranormal investigator that Canada has ever had. When I think of Canada paranormal investigators, I think of Exploring Harley. He is my favorite paranormal investigator from Canada. Roger Blair, welcome. Jojo, welcome. Let me see here. Danny Stanton, my brother, my other friend, great, awesome guy. Always got good words of encouragement. And now, a couple things I want to say, and we're going to talk about the sadness story of what we heard about our wonderful friend Joe, and we'll do that about the last 10 minutes of the show. I want people to come in. I want to put out some time just for Joe, just for him, and why we're talking about him. But before we get to the Mothman story, once in a while I'll change the format up on the channel just to stay fresh. I do different ideas just to shake things up, just for myself, and have fun. I like to do different things, and lately, if you guys noticed, in the last 3-4 weeks, I've been taking two stories and I've been putting like today's the Mothman versus the Chupacabra. What's the bigger story? I'm not here to say that a winner of a story makes the other story fake or wrong. Not at all. It's a celebration of the two stories. And you know what I forgot to do? And I feel so bad about it. Usually I put the poll up in the chat already. So let me just write that in there. Let me just put that. I can't believe I did that. So I'm creating the poll right now. Almost got it. Okay. All right. I got the poll up. So if you want to go and put in your vote, you can. I put up the stories as a way to bring two stories that had an event on somebody in life. Just two stories. There's not a wrong or right to one of stories versus the other one. There's not. And I say this on every show like this. It's up to you on certain reasons why a show is bigger. A story is bigger than the other one. It could be personal reasons. You might live in the Virginia area where the Mothman story is generated from, or originated from. And that could be the reason why it's the bigger story. Or you might be Chupacabra. You might be more into. I mean, there's so many different reasons. It's not about one's better than the other. It's just about getting the two stories out, having some fun, putting some votes in, and maybe you're telling us why you believe one story is better than the other, or this might be better. You might not ever heard some of these stories, And the reason I'm bringing this up is I thought I bring this up because yesterday I saw some. I got dirty emails. I got some mean messages from people because it's like it's like they took a side and they treat it like it was a battle. They treat it like it was a battle. The Berkshire versus the Val Johnson incident. They took it like it was a battle. And I sit here and I don't understand it. There is no battle. It was about what event. Those were two important events for a lot of people for different reasons. They weren't to pin one against each other like this is truth, this is not. They both could be 100% truth. They both could be 100% false. But there's a reason why a story generates with somebody for a certain reason. And I didn't there's some things, and I don't appreciate somebody coming in the middle of one story and say, oh, that other story is fake. What I'm asking is hold off on saying a story is fake after I present both stories. Because I'm not here to sway people to vote a certain way. That's why I save my vote for the end. It's not about that. It's about celebrating these stories. There's no vampires versus werewolf. There's no right or wrong why you like one story versus the other. There's nothing wrong at all. And then one person was yelling at me for I don't want to fully get into it, and I want to explain that I don't bother with almost anymore at all. I don't bother with like blue wrenches anymore. Whoever has it basically has it, and only the people with the blue wrenches can put links up. If you want to put a link up, just ask somebody that has a blue wrench to put that link up for you. Because I just don't bother with blue wrenches anymore. It was getting to a point where everybody's like, I don't have a blue wrench. I don't feel important. Every single one of you are important to me. Every single one of you. And it doesn't matter if you have a blue wrench or not. It doesn't matter at all. So I don't really bother with that at all anymore. But if you don't have a blue wrench and you want to get a link up for whatever reason, talk to the people who has the blue wrenches. They're wonderful people. They'll put it up. I just don't bother with the blue wrenches. And remember, these stories are celebrations. They're not to put down somebody. Lately, I've been hearing from people that they haven't even heard of these stories, and that's fantastic. That's great. You know, I want to give one example for myself. I did a show on Amityville Horror versus The Conjuring House. Right? What's the bigger story? Now, I picked the Amityville Horror House over The Conjuring, even though I think The Conjuring is more haunted than Amityville. I believe the Amityville was more exaggerated versus The Conjuring House. But the reason I picked Amityville Horror because that's the story I knew first in life. That's the story that made me want to look into the paranormal versus The Conjuring House. So for me, that's the bigger story. Now, we have a good friend in the channel, like Amber's Perry World. Love her. And I'm trying to get her on the show for next Thursday. Love her. She did an investigation at the Conjuring House. So maybe for her, if she put in a vote, she'd probably put the Conjuring House because she actually investigated a house. So there's different reasons on why a story is yours. Even though one story might be more real than the other one, but the truth of the matter is that Amityville Horror is the one that got me want to look into the paranormal. Even though I think that's more exaggerated than most stories out there. So there's so many different reasons, people. We're here to have fun and enjoy because life is short. Life is short. When you just hear tragedy news like we heard about Joe, it puts life into perspective that my God, there's more to life than to bitch and complain. It's I don't know. I'm sorry to go off on this, but I just don't understand. I have my own Reddit page. My own Reddit page is called Gypsy Road, and after every show, I put the show link on my Reddit page. People go on my page like, get this garbage off this channel. It doesn't even deserve to be on this page. I'm like, dude, this is my page. What? I can't put my own content on my own page? And then people are like, they come out and say, oh, you're just a redneck. And then I sit there and I'm thinking to myself, now we're name calling? And redneck is a bad, it's because I wear a cowboy hat? This isn't for show. This is for fun. And, why even call somebody a redneck? You want to call me a redneck? I'm proud to be a redneck, I guess. I don't understand why we even have to name call and put labels on the people. It doesn't make sense. There's a there's a line in a song that's one of my favorite lines in a song. It's on Social Distortion, one of the Social Distortion albums. It's a song called Reach for the Sky. And there's a saying that reach for the sky because tomorrow may never come. I love that line. I love that line because you got to live life for today. Because you just don't know. One of my best friends who I grew up with from Kerman, California, Fresno, Kerman, California, who lives up here in Washington, who I've been around since I was 5 or 6 years old. And he was diagnosed with kind of a lot like Joe, 4th degree cancer. So he's sitting there. Sorry, hold on. Sorry about that. He's sitting there, doing cancer treatments every week, and Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, man, sorry. It just, your best friends, your friends, your people you care for, they're sitting there and you don't know if tomorrow's going to come. And then here we are bitching about calling people rednecks and just because one story is better than the other, and you're just oh man, I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry about this, guys. I'm sorry. It just sometimes in life I just don't get it. I just woo, sorry. I just don't understand. I just don't understand people. We just need to have a good time, and it's just, man, we just need to have a good time. That's it. Just relax and there's a story that's better for you. There's a story that's better for you, and here, listen. We're gonna get to the Mothman in a second. I'm gonna play what's also happening to our friend Joe, and it hit me like a bricks when Danny told me about this yesterday because I'm going with this with my best friend. This is a 3-minute clip on what's going on with Joe and his YouTube channel is in the link. This is 3 minutes long, and I gotta hold on. I gotta refix myself for a second, and I apologize for this. I didn't know it was going to be this emotional, so I apologize. Let me get this up.
Hard. So Molly, his wife, and Joe's been dealing with, for those who don't know, been dealing with liver cancer, and he had some scans, and yesterday's post was by his wife. And it says basically, so yesterday we came to the ER because Joseph had lost the ability to walk. They did a CT scan and found the cancer had spread to his bones. They found basically tumors on his vertebrae and ribs. And there's also a fracture to one of his vertebrae. And we met with the hospitalist this morning and we're told that Joe's cancer is spreading fast. And he only has a few months. The best they can do is manage the pain so he can spend his last days at home with his dogs, cats, and his wife. And anyway, I want to say this to Joe, because I know, Joe, you'll be watching this in broadcast. I know you were over in Nikki's show for a little bit because they were getting ready to medicate you, and when you get medicated, you kind of get zonked out, and I get that. But Joe, we love you, and we love Molly too. And so anyway, folks, there's a GoFundMe page for him, and if you can give a couple of bucks, that would be awesome. They're almost halfway to their goal, which is awesome. But Joe and Molly are in for a long few months. Yeah. And, Joe and I have actually, we've met, we've been out in the field, and, Joe was supposed to actually spend a few days, will be the end of the month, go to the Whitehall thing, and that's all scrapped now. Looks like Joe's squatching days are over with, but, and Joe, and I couldn't post this video because I saw it this morning, and, I said to myself, how can I do a show? But then Joe said something in his video this morning. He was very upset. He was crying and saying how he loved everybody, and, I can't believe how, the GoFundMe page, and you guys are, and, his final wish really is for us to carry on. Take care of Molly, and carry on, and do him right by carrying on. And he was very honored to be in our company. And so how can you do a show? Yeah, you do a show. You do exactly what he said. Honor him.
That's perfectly said. Just honor him. That's perfectly said. I was on with them on Mongolian Monster Channel, and the man is just such a kind man. And it just, like, again, it's just sad that it has, this happens to good people. There's a lot of bad people out there, and you're like, I'm not trying to wish any harm on bad people. And it's like, you wonder, like, that person's so bad and evil. How if something never happens to them, and great people, that just great people to society. And it's a shame. It's just a shame. I got to cheer up. We're here to have a good time. I got a little Mothman, little short Mothman video with a little song in it, right? If I get a copyright on it, I don't care. We're here to have a good time. So let's get the vibes up. So let's listen to this little Mothman little song. That's Mothman bringing some joy to the world, bringing some joy to us, right? Now, what is the Mothman? Have you ever even heard of the Mothman? There was actually a movie made about the Mothman with Richard Gere, which I didn't like the movie. I thought Richard Gere, no offense to him, he's just such a boring actor for me, and that movie was so boring with him in it. But beyond that, the video I'm going to play is The Legend of the Mothman. So if you don't know the Mothman story, hopefully this gives you a good insight on what is the Mothman.
The Mothman is a scary, unexplained creature with large red eyes and large wings like a moth. It was first seen in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and was made famous by the 2002 movie The Mothman Prophecies, and has appeared before major world disasters. The creature often appears to have no head, with red eyes set into its chest. It has been photographed and been seen by eyewitnesses, and has chased and harassed a number of people. The first sighting of Mothman was in November 1966 in Point Pleasant. Two newlywed couples were driving together on Route 62 when they saw a dark figure on the hillside up ahead. It was almost 7 feet tall, and it had red eyes and large black wings folding behind its back. As they watched, it spread its wings and flew into the air. They sped off, but the dark figure followed them, even though they were driving over 100 miles per hour. Later that night, a man was at home watching TV when the screen suddenly went dark and was filled with a weird pattern. Just then, he heard a loud, high-pitched whining noise coming from the outside of his house. When he went out to see what it was, he saw two large red eyes staring at him through the darkness. His dog then took off after it, and it never came back. That night, the man was so scared he slept with a gun next to his bed. Another family in the area spotted a dark figure outside their house. It was almost 7 feet tall with terrible glowing red eyes. The figure came onto their porch and peered through their windows. The family was so horrified that they locked their doors and called the police. But by the time the police arrived, the creature had vanished. News of the strange creature spread around the world, and newspapers nicknamed the creature Mothman. Between 1966 and 1967, over 100 people saw the mysterious Mothman. On December 15, 1967, a major disaster hit the town of Point Pleasant when the Silver Bridge collapsed during rush hour traffic. The cars fell into the dark river of the Ohio River, and 46 people were killed in the accident. That night, eerie lights were seen all in the sky over Point Pleasant. The Mothman was never seen again after the bridge collapsed. Many people believe that the Mothman had something to do with the disaster. Mothman has also been sighted just before other world tragedies, such as the tsunami in India, Chernobyl in Russia, the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and 9/11 in New York City. In 2002, the story was made into a movie, The Mothman Prophecies, starring Richard Gere. The paranormal reality TV show Paranormal State investigated the Mothman in 2008. It is said that anybody who gets a close look at Mothman seems to suffer from extreme fear and psychological stress, sometimes lasting for months or years afterwards. People say that a sense of pure evil overcomes them when they see Mothman's eyes. Mothman really doesn't have any powers, besides he could fly at very high speeds, and his appearance is very intimidating. And if you look into his eyes, you will have problems mentally and physically. So that is the urban legend of Mothman. I really hope you guys did enjoy.
All right. Well, first of all, when they say no powers, apparently he brought down the bridge, right? He brought down the bridge. That's power. You know, bringing down a bridge and looking at you and putting fear into you, that's power. So saying Mothman has no power does have power. If he could create fear, you could, make you have that fear. That's power. What's it say? Mothman don't scare me. I got a big can of Hot Shot, a bug killer. I don't even think a bear spray would work in that humanoid. Now they do tours about the Mothman. And I love it when towns do tours. Like, here's another video. I like to play different videos of the same story. There's a town that actually does tours and talk about the Mothman, their legends. I love it when towns do that. I love it. And watch here.
Southern Ohio and northern West Virginia, the legend of Mothman is as strong as it was 45 years ago. It's become part of the personality of Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant, Point Pleasant does a parade of it every year. They have a celebration of it every year. I love it. Where I live in the Des Moines, out right of the suburb of Seattle, we have where is it? I'm sorry, upside down. The Men in Black birthday bash every year in our town, celebrating the first sighting of Men in Black because of the Mary Island incident. I love it when towns celebrate stuff like that. It's just fun. It doesn't make a story, an event, more real or fake. I look at it as it might be an encouragement for someone to look into it, study the unknown, study the mystery. This might be a gateway for a kid to get into looking at the mysteries, of other things. And sometimes in the future, there might be great discoveries that people have done. Somebody might actually have an actual real video or hanging out with Bigfoot. Might have started because they went on a tour for a Mothman. Things happen for a reason. So celebration. I love this town. And I had never visited this town during the Mothman Festival, and I want to. I need to. Like I said, there might never be a tomorrow. You want to do something? Do it today. Do it soon, because you just don't know what life's going to throw at you.
Where in December of 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed, killing 46 people. 2 of the dead were never found. But the stories of the creature that came to be known as Mothman began many months earlier.
And this is where all of your Mothman sightings started back in '66, November '66.
Jeff Wamsley gives tours showing people where the legendary
I
7-foot-tall
would
winged
take that
man
tour.
with glowing red eyes the size of baseballs was spotted at least 100 times between November 1966 through December of 1967. He also runs a Mothman museum. The first witnesses were 2 couples together at a town gathering spot, the power plant, which sounds like a lover's lane of the late 1960s.
As they got up closer, she said, "What is this guy doing standing in the road?" And she said when the headlights hit it, it turned and looked at him. And she said the wings were like angel's wings above its head, way above its head. And she said that's when the wings came out. And they said, "That's not a man."
They say Mothman chased their car at incredible speeds. The women were said to be hospitalized for shock. The witnesses all described the same thing, a faceless, red-eyed.
Let me ask you guys something. If you are a believer in the Mothman, if you're a believer in it, and I'm not saying you are or not, technically, then the Mothman has to come from somewhere. You know, it has to come from somewhere. Do we think that the Mothman could be a fallen angel that got cast out of heaven? If you believe in that, I'm just saying, you know, could it be another evil entity that came from heaven? If you're in that belief world, there's no right or wrong answer, people. There's no right or wrong. I'm just shooting that out there.
Freak who seemed to have a message to tell. But what was this message? Carolyn Marcella runs the local diner. Her sister saw Mothman, but won't do interviews. In fact, most people won't do interviews.
And it flew over top of her, and she looked up, and she said, when I seen them big red eyes, she said, we were out of there. Can't tell you what the rest of it looks like.
A lot of respectable business people, young kids, older people, elderly. But the people that I've talked to, you know, they just said, you know, we're afraid that people would laugh at us and, you know, think that we were crazy. But, you know, they said we know what we saw, and you know, some of them said that it was a large bird of some sort. Others said it wasn't a bird.
How can any of this?
You know what? Again, forget people. Seriously, forget people if they think you're crazy or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter. You know, get yourself some good friends. Like everybody in the chat. I consider every single one of you here good friends. Good friends. If you guys believe me, that's all I need. I don't care what other people think. You know, surround yourself with good people. Just surround yourself with good people. You know, good people, you'll go a lot farther. You know, just surround yourself with good people. If you know, it's kind of sad. No, it's not sad. I don't know what's sad. I don't know. Shoot, today's all about being sad. You know, earlier I broke down on the channel, and you know, it's like today's show is about getting all everything out. I went on the one of good friends of the channel, Jim and Jade channel. Jim and Jade. She's a good. Hold on a second. She's a good friend of the channel, and she was doing tarot readings, and she did my tarot reading, and she pulled up a card, and she goes, Eric, your card is saying that you got to watch your back. A good friend of yours is going to backstab you. That was her tarot reading. This just happened like a couple of days ago on her channel. You know, you're going to be backstabbed by a friend. And I'm like, are we talking about the past? That's already happened. Are you talking about the present? That's already happened. And then in the future, that's going to happen. I mean, it's a story of all of our lives, right? We all get backstabbed by people who call us your friends. And then she was just like telling me, like, so always watch your back. Oh, I know that. I know you got to watch your back because it's just constantly you're, you know, we get, you know, getting backstabbed. So when she read me that tarot reading, it was like, oh, I already know that. I mean, I'm so used to people backstabbing you and stuff. It's like it doesn't faze you. It doesn't faze you, right? Here, I'll finish the story. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm sorry about that. Let me get that story back up. Hold on.
Be explained. Critics say these sightings are really misidentified planes. Owls are just plain pranks. This is an area of chemical plants and military ammunition storage. It's an industry town on the Ohio River that didn't have the kind of environmental regulations it has today.
Somebody was up here fishing one day, saw this fluorescent green stuff coming out of the water, sort of like Jed Clampett on the Beverly Hillbillies.
Could it have been some type of mutated bird of 50s and 60s sci-fi fear? Or was
Maybe.
Mothman really here to warn the river people? Those sightings came to a terrifying climax when that bridge collapsed, killing 46 people and changing the area forever. The collapse was so extreme, it set federal regulations on bridge construction. And those Mothman sightings, they stopped too. You believe it?
I believe they saw something, yeah. I don't doubt their stories one bit. I mean, what it was, I can't tell you, personally what it was. I know that they saw something that was out of the ordinary.
Something those witnesses and the people of Point Pleasant will never forget.
I think that was a good one. I got one more. This is a news coverage. It's a shorter one. News coverage that actually covered the Mothman, and I love it. I also, again, I love when news channels actually want to take part, of a story. We know that most news channels, they narrate to whatever belief they want, but it is cool sometimes when they could cover a story and not bash it. You know what I mean? Just tell the story. I appreciate that. Wrong one. Sorry, I had to play that again. Well, guys, that's the story of the Mothman. So hopefully you got a pretty good idea of the Mothman. Now we're gonna go on to the Chupacabra. If this is a new story for you, fantastic. If it's not, then let's rehash, right? That's rehash. And then we'll check the voting on how it's going. Right. Well, how it's going. And again, I want to apologize to everybody for having a breakdown in the beginning of the show. I do apologize. I always believe in being positive, and sometimes just things in life really gets to you. And again, I want to apologize for having a breakdown, meltdown, whatever you want to call it. I apologize for that. Let's go on to the Chupacabra.
The Chupacabra, a mysterious creature common in Latin American folklore, with its first sightings being reported in Puerto Rico during the mid-90s. The Chupacabra developed a reputation when livestock began mysteriously dying. The animals were found completely drained of blood through a small circular fang-like incision. According to experts at the time, these incisions could not be
almost like a vampire, right? Sucking the blood out of everything. I'm not calling Chupacabra a vampire, but a vampire can change you to animals. But that's interesting that it drinks like all the blood from somebody.
From any known animal of the region. There were more than 200 reports of the Chupacabra being seen in 1995 alone. The creature became an urban legend all over South America, but as quickly as these sightings began, they stopped with no trace, leaving a host of questions. The name Chupacabra, translated in Spanish, roughly means goat sucker, referring to how the creature attacks its prey. The appearance of the Chupacabra varies drastically. Some claim the animal is the size of a small bear, and others believe it is no bigger than a wolf. In most depictions, it has rows of spines that run from the base of its neck to its tail. The beast has razor-sharp teeth with vampire-like fangs. Along with draining the blood of its victims, it is sometimes depicted as having wings similar to that of a bat, meaning that people consider the Chupacabra to be a vampire-like beast. There have been claims from local villagers that the Chupacabra is a large reptilian-like creature who is able to walk on two legs. As the Chupacabra has become...
They do say that the royal family of the UK are reptilians. maybe they're part of the Chupacabra tribe.
Become such a widespread legend, there are varying reports of the creature's strengths and weaknesses. The Chupacabra's bite contains a strong venom, allowing them to stun their victims while they feed on them. Its bite may even be considered contagious, infecting anyone its fangs come into contact with, turning them into a Chupacabra. The Chupacabra can overpower large animals, and even sometimes humans, ripping their flesh from their bones with ease. There are reports that claim the Chupacabra has the ability of hypnosis. It is believed that anything that stares into its red eyes will become paralyzed, leaving...
You guys hear that? Hypnotize. So the Mothman has, what we just learned from the first half, has that ability. But now the Chupacabra is known to tear up people, where so far the damage of the Mothman has done is they make you have weird thoughts. But the most damage that the Mothman has done is on that bridge. So if you think the Mothman is more dangerous than Chupacabra, you might want to hold off on that. This thing tears you apart.
them motionless while the Chupacabra feeds. Thanks to its wings and webbed joints, the creature is able to glide long distances, making escape for its prey almost impossible. Despite its vast array of strengths, there are ways to kill a Chupacabra. Many believe, much like a vampire, the Chupacabra has a strong aversion to the sun, meaning that direct sunlight will kill the creature. It is also believed that guns can harm the Chupacabra, with the shotgun being preferred, as the wide spread of the buckshot makes it impossible for the Chupacabra to regenerate. Similar to sunlight, fire can burn the Chupacabra, and is thought to be a useful tool when trying to repel the beast. There were many conspiracy theories as to where the Chupacabra came from, the most popular being that it was engineered in a lab by NASA when experimenting on gorillas in Chile. NASA quickly denied this theory, comparing it to that.
Well, hold on a second. hold on. If it was created by NASA, I don't know if it's true or not. Of course, they're going to deny it. I mean, if you create a super being of NASA, governments, corporations, doesn't matter. They're going to deny they're doing it, right? Because technically it's against humane to create something like this. This is like creating this like for a military weapon. So of course they're going to deny it.
Of the fake moon landing conspiracy. Even with most of the Chupacabra attacks being explained as a breed of wild dog, there are people who believe that it was something else. If you've enjoyed this video, then please go ahead and leave it a like. Consider subscribing.
All right, so that's basically in a nutshell about the Chupacabra. Now, there's been some news coverage of people making claims of they thought this creature was a Chupacabra. Now, the first one I'm going to be showing you is known to be not Chupacabra, an animal, is known, but they still did a news coverage on it, and I thought I'll just show it for the hell of it. Even though this one is I know earlier I said I don't like people coming into the show saying one's fake or not. Now, I'm not saying the story itself is fake, but here's a news coverage of saying they thought this was the Chupacabra, but it turns out it's not. But for the show, we'll play it anyway.
Michelle, thank you. This is, I think, the most exciting story of the morning. DeWitt County sheriffs, down kind of between San Antonio and Victoria, may have found the mythical, legendary, and elusive Chupacabra. I kid you not. Look at the video. This is from the sheriff's cruiser. Last Friday, hours before sunset, the two deputies were checking fence lines near Cuero when they stumbled across that alleged creature of the night. Kills goats and chickens, sucks the blood out of them. Now, one of the deputies, there it is again, called it hairless with a long snout, short front legs, and long back legs. He said it's about the size of a coyote, but when he froze the video and saw its profile, he knew he was not dealing with a coyote at all. The county sheriff says he is willing to work with credible researchers who want to look at the video and help solve the mystery of the chupacabra. Now, again, if you don't know what this animal is supposed to do, apparently it has 2 fangs, and that animal had fangs, and a couple others killed in the area that look like that animal also have those 2 front fangs. And in the area, goats and chickens have died, and their death was the 2 fang marks in the neck and the blood sucked completely out. Now, again, the sheriff is willing to work with anyone to determine, is that really a chupacabra or what is it? But again, he looked at it and said that was no coyote.
You know, I did this long time ago, and if I remember right, I have to research it again. I don't want to guarantee this. I should have done it for this show, but a lot of things were going on. That it's a coyote, you know. But hey, what do I know, right? Whoever makes that claim saying it was a coyote could be just doing it as a cover up too. I mean, who really knows, right? Here's another news coverage of another, site saying thinking it was a chupacabra. Chupacabra. Sorry about that.
Once in a while, often, sometimes, someone swears they've seen the mythical chupacabra.
Yeah, sometimes they even catch the creature on camera, or what they think is the creature on camera, like one man in Houston.
KPRC's Phil Archer spoke to that man about his unusual discovery.
Could it be a blood-sucking chupacabra is on the loose? Well, Justin Ferris thinks so, says he saw one running along this fence line on his way to work this morning. And he's got the pictures, he says, prove it. Fuzzy shots of an animal along League Line Road near Hallmark. Why is it pictures of chupacabras and Bigfoot are always out of focus?
They're a little blurry because we were still trying to move and that thing was running down the fence line and we wanted to get it before it went.
First of all, somebody's going to make the joke that he looks like me. And now I'm showing this because the news did show this. But unfortunately, that guy right there hoaxed it. They fuzzied it on purpose. And I'm showing you this just because news channels, even though I appreciate they didn't want to get the story, but they do put people on there that they should have known that they're faking it. And he's making excuses why it's fuzzy.
And all of a sudden, right off League Line, it went off into the brush.
Justin says he's seen him before. He describes himself as a chupacabra hunter.
A chupacabra hunter. Of course. He's a chupacabra hunter, right? Of course.
This is about my 4th one that I sighted. This is
a 4th one. Of course, that's his 4th sighting. Isn't it amazing, people? Isn't it just amazing how some people... No, I don't... Fuck him. I don't want to show him anymore. Isn't it just amazing how some people just have the magic to always see what they're claiming that they're seeing at all times? Just amazing. Amazing. He calls himself a chupacabra hunter, and he saw them 4 or 5 times, where the average person sees 0. Right? Amazing. Amazing. You know, I love researching the Bigfoot. This is Bigfoot Tuesday. I wish I had that gift that every time I go out, I see any kind of evidence of a Bigfoot. I would love it. I would love it. But you guys all know I went on a Bigfoot hunt a couple weeks ago. Loved the trip. Had a great time. I love nature. Me and my son just loved it. But I saw nothing that I can say can be close to a Bigfoot sighting. And I'm not going to make up something like I heard something. It's just, ask yourself, how certain people are just that lucky. Every time they go out, there's always something for them to capture or see or an event. Always. And not just the Bigfoot field. I'm exploring Harley. You could probably tell you there's a lot of people that in the paranormal field that somehow, like Ghost Adventures, every time they go out, there's always something big. Always. And that's not always the case. That's not always the case. It's not always the case. It's like somebody asked me, Eric, and I'm just using Ghost Adventures as my explanation. Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters. If you watch them both, Ghost Adventures is more exciting. The music, the screaming, the running, the yelling. Why do you touch me? Who touched me? Right? Way more exciting. Ghost Hunters. But that was on. Show's a lot more boring. They go in. They might hear a noise. They filmed. Right? Ghost Adventures. Way more exciting. More popular in the ratings. People loved it. Ghost Hunters were doing things more real. Not exciting. So their ratings go here while their ratings go up. That's why people fake things. Because they want to go up, they want to go here. I'm sure if I made up something, heard this noise crackling, something thrown at me on my camping trip, searching for Bigfoot, I'm sure that video, it did all right. I mean, I think the video, the mountains, or the video, Danny Stanton was on with me. That video did all right. I think it maybe 250, 300 views, but I'm sure if I caught some fake footage, it probably would have went 5, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 views. But I'm the type of person that can't do that. But, when you ask yourself, why do people do certain things? That's the reason why. And how many people out there are doing this for shortcuts too? Shortcuts. But again, just be careful. Be careful. It's the same on YouTube. They fake stuff for clicks and views, all the money instead of doing it for research. And that's my point. And a lot of times when I go out, paranormal investigation, Bigfoot investigation, it is not necessarily even for research in a way. I go out because I love it. I love it. I just love it. It's more for myself, right? For myself. But I mean, if I could share it with all of you, of course I want to share it. But it's mostly not to prove to anybody. I'm not going out on a paranormal investigation to prove to the world that it's real, because it is real to me. It is real to me. I had a Bigfoot encounter. It's real to me. Not UFOs, spaceships from outer space, from other planets. I believe in that. I don't need to prove it. I don't need somebody's okay to say you did. I believe in it. It's just for me in this part of my life. It's just for satisfaction. I just love it. Exactly, Judy. Exactly. Perfectly said. Simple. I do it for myself. perfectly said. And if I could share it, then I'm going to share it. You know what I mean? Now let's check out the votes here. Let's check out the votes. So we got 46 votes in, and right now the Mothman is winning 65% to 35% Chupacabra. All right. All right. Now, what's the bigger story for me? I'm going to give you my pick. And this is my pick. My pick is the Chupacabra. And the main reason why the Chupacabra for me is the bigger story, growing up in Kerman, Fresno, California, you know, we lived, my neighborhood that I lived in, we lived in an apartment complex when I was a kid that was designed for, I don't want to say the word, it was designed for illegal aliens coming in, a place for them to stay. And there's a reason why we had to stay at this place next to an auction. You know, I didn't grow up with no pink fences. Let me just tell you that. We were dirt poor. You want to call me a redneck? You can call me a redneck. I don't give a shit. We lived in a Spanish culture. We were the only white family in this apartment complex. It's called Horns Manor, and we were very influenced by the Spanish influence. I mean, we were the only white family there. So Chupacabra story was there when I was a kid, hearing it about. And we live in Kerman, California, out in the middle of grapevines, out of sight of Fresno. There's cow farms, chicken farms, goat farms, and they always told stories about the Chupacabra, you know, drinking the blood of that. And hold on a second. Danny said Mothman would pick up Chupacabra, rip its head off, and thinks the way Dr. Wu does. And listen. And if that's the reason why you pick Mothman because you think he's more powerful, then that's your story. I picked Chupacabra not because how they would fight each other, is because I grew up with the folklore mythology story of Chupacabra first. I heard Mothman later in life. So I was intrigued with the cryptids of Chupacabra first. Kind of like I said earlier in the beginning of the show, where I said I picked the Amityville Horror over the Conjuring House, even though I believe that the Conjuring House is more haunted versus the Amityville. But I grew up on the Amityville. So that's why it's my story. My thing. It could be for any reason that you pick. That's the beautiful thing about this channel, people, is I don't care necessarily on why you pick one. I'd like to know why, you know. If it's because you think one's more powerful, fantastic. If one's more scarier to you, fantastic. But we got to do this. We always got to do this. We always got to do this. Oh, look at this. Bushcraft family. I would go with Chupacabra because I seen one. See? And remember I mentioned like Amber Paraworld? Amber would probably pick the Conjuring House because she did a paranormal investigation there and caught some stuff. His reason is a damn good reason because he's seen one. He's seen one. I mean, if I seen a Chupacabra, hands down, Chupacabra. Oh, or if I would have seen a Mothman, that would have been my story. That's a perfect reason to pick that story. Okay, now beyond stories, beyond seeing one, we're at the Madison Square Garden, the biggest boxing match in the world. In one corner, you got the Mothman. In the other corner, you got the Chupacabra. They're going head to head in a boxing match. Who would win that fight? Not about the stories. Who would physically win that fight? Now, put 1 if you think the Mothman would win that fight. Put 2 if you think the Chupacabra will win that fight. Who will win that fight against the Mothman and the Chupacabra? Who will win? Hands down fight. No, not in the woods. You're in a boxing ring. All right. JoJo said Chupacabra. The Dogman says Chupacabra. No says Chupacabra. Uncle Bone say Chupacabra. Mothman. I don't think it should be boxing. It would be UFC. Got a Mothman problem? Just hang a 6-bug zapper in a nearby tree. Chupacabra. But let me ask you guys something. If they're in a boxing ring, now Chupacabra does have wings. You don't think maybe the Chupacabra, it's going to have jumping ability, like flying ability, like fly over the Chupacabra and be able to get it from behind or something? You don't think the wings could have something to do with it? Now, I know the Chupacabra, some story says Chupacabra has wings too. But you don't think maybe the flying ability? Now, they both can hypnotize each other. We know that. So that evens that part out. But you're right. The Chupacabra is known to tear a body part apart. Chupacabra, nothing to do with lollipops. Oh, man. All right. It looks like, looking at the tally of votes, I think more people are picking the Chupacabra. Now, even though I picked Chupacabra as the bigger story, I think because the wings of the Mothman, I think that ability is going to be able to have the Mothman win the fight, in my opinion, because he's going to knock it with the wings. He's going to fly over, get it from behind, hit the Chupacabra before it can get a bite on you. So I'm going to go with the Mothman on a fist fight. But even with my vote of that, I think the Chupacabra wins. I think most people pick the Chupacabra. But I think with the wings and at least the flying ability. Now, if you take away the flying ability of the Mothman in the boxing ring, then Chupacabra is going to win hands down. But because the boxing ring, there's nothing like aerial, can't fly over, can't fly. So I think with that ability, I think the Mothman can take the Chupacabra. But that's just fine. Now, before we end the show today, I'm going to share the screen. This is Joe's channel, and I'll put Joe's channel in the link. Joe is, again, early in the channel. Joe is just such a kind person, just a kind, good person. He's a good person in life. He's got videos. He's just a good person in life. And it's I don't want to break down again. All that. And it's never good news when you hear cancer. We all know people. Like I said, I'm dealing with a best friend right now who's have cancer. I had a family member just yesterday who passed away with cancer. Now, my family member is above the age of 80. And I'm not saying that's not good at all. I mean, at least 80, I could say they had a good full life, but it just, people like Joe and my friend Miguel and them, it's taking people too young in life when you got so much to give. You got so much to give and so much, we all got that bucket list, right? Every single one of us here probably has a bucket list that we want to do in life. And if you guys get anything out of the show today, and it's not necessarily about the Mothman versus the Chupacabra, it's about community. This is all about community. It's just about all of us hanging out and being friends. And if you have a bucket list, start working on your bucket list. With life, it's hard, right? House, bills, taxes. It's not as easy as one supposed to go out and just do it. I know it's hard. It's difficult. Kids, even a dog's like a kid. Who's going to take care of your dog so you go out? But if you have an opportunity to work on your bucket list, if you have an opportunity to go out and do an investigation, don't wait until next week or next year. If you have a way to do something today or tomorrow, do it, because like I said, my favorite line in a song, reach for the sky because tomorrow may never come, because you just never know what tomorrow is going to bring. Just and don't worry about the outside world, what they think of you. Right here, everybody in the chat are wonderful people. Wonderful people. People like Joe, wonderful. My friend who's on stage 4 cancer, that he's doing cancer every week. Just the most happiest guy in the world, and you never know. I mean, I hopefully not one of you guys ever get that news for yourself, but you just never know. So if you got an opportunity to do something, go do it. And don't take shit from nobody. Who gives a shit if people don't believe you? Who gives a fucking shit? Doesn't matter. The support of people like Danny, who supports, Judy Wheeler supports, Dogman UK supports, No support, Exploring Harley supports. Thank you so much for the donation. I didn't see that. I apologize. Thank you so much. C Duke. I see C Duke in here. All you people. That's the JoJo. You've been in here. That's the support you need. World Bigfoot Radio. That's your support. They're your friends. That's support. Because trust me, when the shit gets you down, it's going to be these people that are going to pick you up. They're going to pick you up. And I want to thank you guys for being here today. I really appreciate it. Thursday's show is to me, it's going to be a fun one. They're all fun. I'm going to pin the witches versus the sorcerer. If you believe in witch and sorcerer, that's up to you. But if you don't believe in them, who cares? Do a what if for yourself. Doesn't matter. Who's more powerful, the witch or the sorcerer? Who's more intriguing, the witches or the sorcerer? So Thursday, we're going to break down on what's the bigger story. Is it the witches or is it the sorcerer? Beyond that, thank you guys so much for being here today. Again, apologize for breaking down earlier in the show, but sometimes emotions just get to you and you don't know when, how, why, and they just get to you. So beyond that, I appreciate every single one of you, and you guys are my support system. I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll see you all next time on the Paranormal Highway.